Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of Fallout Survival: The Exile. As you can see here, it actually tells you in the Pip-Boy some stats including how many days you've survived. Though you really can't put too much weight on that, considering the fact that this is not a dead is dead game mode. When you die, you actually do come back at the last save point, the last time you slept. It just sort of goes back to how many days you'd survived back then. So, I mean, if when you died, you actually died, and then gave you a summary of the number of days and whatnot, that'd be kind of cool. But as it stands, it's sort of I don't see much use for it. But it's there if you're interested. So a couple of things before we, I suppose, get into the meat of it. I've gotten some feedback from you guys from various sources, various videos, informing me that you actually really like me just talking over these videos. You like the informal vlog style gameplay, let's play sort of thing, which is really interesting, and I want to thank you all for your feedback. That's actually very valuable to me. And that's kind of cool because it's fun just to talk to you guys, just talk shit and whatnot. So I'm going to try and strike a balance between the more narrative style and the more behind the scenes director commentary, like I said in the first episode, the first day. But of course, as always, when you're trying new things, sometimes you go too far in one direction, sometimes you go too far in the other direction. So we'll still find a balance. Lastly, I want to apologize if my voice sounds a bit raw today. Unfortunately, it's just the wonders of having chronic sinusitis. Anyway, so we've missed some action here. We're just taking out some bloat flies. They are the bane of my existence in survival mode because of their poison attacks, and they're just so hard to hit. I can't hit them without bats. Regardless of whether it's survival mode or not, but they become more lethal in survival. And of course, you saw that we leveled up before when I was just rambling on about things and such. But at least the bloatflies give us some meat, which is handy. If I remember correctly, in the most recent patch notes for the survival mode beta, they've actually lowered the food and water requirements. So you didn't really have to eat that much beforehand, and now you're going to have to eat even less, which is... I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of wish you had to eat more just because of how abundant food is in the Wasteland, even if it is horribly irradiated. But maybe it's a way of balancing the radiation, because the more you eat, the more radiation you're gonna incur, and it's just so much harder to get rid of now in survival. But I suppose it's a good thing that you don't have to drink as much. Here we go. This is totally appropriate. Surviving out in the Wasteland, and we find the Wasteland Survival Guide. I don't know about you guys, but I just love taking 5% less damage from melee attacks. It's one of my favorite things to do. We are going to skip ahead just a little bit here. As much as I'd love to show you every last second of this gameplay, because the world does look quite nice, it is 40 minutes worth, and we need to cut it down to 20. So let's just get to the good bits. So Francis has come across some sort of construction yard. Of course, we all know that it's infested with feral ghouls. So of course, while I'm playing this, I'm thinking, let's be a little bit more careful here. There is a structure, some ruins off in the distance here that I haven't visited before. We're going to check it out. Unfortunately, there is a blood bug. And luckily we had the sniper rifle, because there is only one thing that is more the bane of my existence than bloat flies, and that is the blood bugs. They kill me even on normal difficulty, so imagine what they'll do to you on survival. It's pretty messed up. We didn't find anything too spectacular from that ruined building, just some buff out, and of course we got the meat from the blood bug. Now it's time to check out this construction yard. Francis is just checking the area to make sure he has an escape route just in case this goes south. We also may as well level up while we're at it. Rifleman is going to be the order of the day here. We could have gone with some more survival-oriented perks, but I think at the moment the biggest struggle is just taking out enemies as quickly as possible and conserving our ammo. Alright, so it's not a construction yard at all, but rather a shipping fleet lockup, and it's wicked to boot, so this does not bode well for Francis. Luckily, we are able to get the drop on that saucy little feral ghoul hiding under the truck. But there's also a Protectron, and Francis isn't sure whether it's hostile or not. In the meantime, we may as well clear out the area, and that doesn't prove to be too difficult. There aren't that many feral ghouls hanging around, and they're generally on their own, so we're not dealing with big packs here. We may as well have a crack at this terminal. Francis is not a trained hacker, but of course, being part of the Brotherhood of Steel, he's no stranger to computers, in the same way that living in modern society, we are no strangers to computers ourselves. So while I do not have a fancy bigwig degree in hacking or whatnot, I know my way around a computer. So I feel like that's justification enough for Francis to be able to do some low-level hacking, and of course, the game allows it with his current special and perks.
Nice.
Alright then, let's activate this robot and see what it can do.
Powering up. Protectron on duty.
After displaying some very highly trained Brotherhood levels of caution, he deems that the robot is in fact friendly, and he can use it to his advantage. It's time to clear out these ghouls. He waits for his shot. He's only going to get one chance at this, and he needs to hit a critical body part. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. He's going to have to fall back on Plan B, which is Operation Run and Hide like a coward while the robot deals with it.
You may now resume your normal activities.
A successful Plan B indeed. You can really see the benefits of having Brotherhood training in survival situations. So after picking the area clean and not finding much, Francis figures it's about time he starts armoring up, protecting himself, and more importantly disguising his bad self so he doesn't get recognized as a Brotherhood Exile. After further customization of the armor pieces he has collected over the past day, Francis is good to go. He says goodbye to his robot friend and heads out. More goddamn bloatflies. These guys, seriously, nothing sends shivers down my spine more than seeing bloatflies in survival mode. We end up sneaking around and using this shack as cover. And finally take down the bloatfly menace. The shack does not yield much in the way of supplies. It does have a mattress, but it's too early in the day to sleep. There's still more to be done. However, one of those things is not take down an alpha wild mongrel. Francis may be a hard, savage Brotherhood soldier, but is not suicidal. At this point, we're starting to get into some real uncharted territory for me, which is kind of exciting. I generally find that the more off the beaten path I travel, the more random encounters I get, which you may or may not see towards the end of this episode. I'm certainly wary of getting too close to the water at this point, because I know Mirelurks like to jump out when you least expect it. And an angry Mirelurk is the last thing we need in survival mode. That being said, Francis don't give a damn. He's thirsty and he needs to drink. Of course, one of the great new features, I think it's a new feature that comes along with the survival overhaul, is the ability to fill empty bottles from water sources. And of course, that is super handy when you're out in the middle of the wasteland and there are no bodies of water nearby to sip upon. I think one of the best things about survival mode for me, and I touched upon this in my survival mode impressions video, check that out if you haven't seen it already, is because you can't save, you no longer worry about it, and it just feels more moment to moment. It's such a minor change, and you wouldn't necessarily think that it would make any difference at all. But for me, at least, it really does, and it makes me make more rash decisions and take more risks, because it's like, oh well, I'm not going to mess up my save because I haven't got one. Now here's an odd little encounter that I haven't come across before. I'm not sure if this is specific to this location or if this can occur all over the Commonwealth. I'm sure someone in the comments will be able to tell me what this links to, but it feels like an element of perhaps a minor quest, one that's not necessarily official, but I couldn't really say for sure. We've got 3 dead raiders here with Pikmin's calling card on each of the bodies. It suggests maybe they've been assassinated, there was a hit out on them or something, but again, like I said, I don't really know. Pikmin was here. Find me if you dare. The Commonwealth is becoming bleaker the further south we go. And our fusion cells, the ammo for our laser sniper rifles, begin to become a problem, especially if we're going to be missing shots like that. I can see us having to switch out our sniper rifle for something else fairly soon. We do have a ballistic sniper rifle in our inventory, but we haven't got any ammo for it. That could become a possibility if we do find the ammo. Otherwise, we do have our sidearm, the 10mm pistol. But again, that's not going to last very long either, and it's not very powerful. Here we've come across another potential campsite, another ruined structure. I always think when I find places like this, more mannequins, that has to be a reference. I always think when I find places like this, can you imagine sleeping on that mattress? Not only is it like completely filthy and probably stained with the blood of a whole bunch of different living things, but now it's soggy, it's wet. Surviving is not pretty. So we found ourselves pretty much hugging the edge of the map here. And one negative I will level at Fallout 4's map design is that the out of bounds areas, the borders of the map, are not covered up very cleverly. At least in Skyrim, they were mostly bordered with mountains and whatnot, so you couldn't get there anyway. And then there were the one or two, well, a little more than that, passages out of Skyrim. I think there were four, weren't there? North, south, east, and west. And that was the only one. It was like, yeah, this is the road out of Skyrim, and it was it made sense, and it was a little bit more, I don't know, immersive, for lack of a better term. Fallout 4 doesn't do that. Now, what do we have here?
No more from you. You're not replacing me. Someone, please. Help! This thing is gonna kill me. Please, you gotta help me. This guy's a synth, and he's gonna kill me and replace me and my family. Oh, God. My kids. Don't you dare bring them up. He's the synth, and he wants to replace me. Please. Please, you gotta believe me. You can't let that thing do this.
This is the second time I've come across this event, and in both cases the result has been the same. I'd be interested to see if it randomizes at all.
Hey, I'm on your side. I just need you to tell me the truth. Then maybe I can help.
I'm telling you, I'm not a synth. You have to believe me.
I like the idea of a narrative where this situation is mirroring what Francis has been through himself, and it causes him to side with the one who's being accused, the one on the ground, with a gun pointed at his head. But we'll see how it turns out.
Let's all just calm down. No one has to die.
No, he wants me dead. He's never gonna stop. I have to kill him. Don't listen to it. It'll say anything to convince you.
Why don't you just tell me how this happened?
How this, fine. I was on my way to Bunker Hill. I round a bend, and I see this guy, me, gun drawn, ready to fire. After that, it's a blur. We scuffled for a while, but I won. Now, I don't know what else I can say to convince you he's the synth. Now, are you gonna get out of my way?
You gotta wonder, his story sounds suspicious. How did a human overpower a synth in this situation?
Look, all I need is for you to put down the gun. Then we can talk this through.
All right. I'm putting the gun away. Oh, thank God. Now I just have to dig 2 graves. Oh, damn. Here we think of Commonwealth. Look at all the blood. Christ. I need to get out of here.
Hey.
Thank you. Again.
I gotta admit, I kinda wish this resolved the other way around. But at least we saved Sean Penn here. And of course we have solid confirmation that that was actually a synth.
God, I'm still shaking.
That's alright, Sean Penn. You relax now. I'm just gonna check the area to make sure there are no more of these guys. And that's going to wrap up day 2. After disposing of the body here, we head back a ways to the last mattress we found in that ruined building and spend the night there. What savage adventures await us tomorrow? Find out in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to gently caress that like button. It needs love like everything does. Taste the game, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you next time. Roleplay Gamer, out.